I think in general, I'm probably more optimistic about the future than I was before, just because whenever you go through something so traumatic and jarring and catastrophic like this, historically, that's when people start figuring out the big solutions. Like most innovation comes when the world is on fire.
The Psychology of Money, Morgan Housel Book Review, Cliff Notes. Have you ever imagined why they say money makes the world go round? We're all wired differently. Our passions, our fears, strengths, and our dreams are different. And when we hear the word money, each one of us has unique thoughts and emotions too. Understanding the psychology of money will help you be aware of those thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Success with money isn't about knowledge, IQ, or how good you are at math, buying, or selling. It's about behavior, and everyone is different when it comes to money issues. Once you become aware of your tendencies, you can harness the power of your own mind, thoughts, and will, and you can literally change your life. That's why Morgan Housel authored this fantastic book titled The Psychology of Money. The former columnist at the Wall Street Journal delivers some timeless lessons on wealth, greed, and happiness. In this video, I'll hand-pick some of the most sought-after advice from the book that will completely change how you view money psychologically. But before we begin, in the comments below, tell us, have you ever read any of Morgan Housel's books? Now let's get started. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel is about investing, personal finance, and business decisions. Housel describes how financial decisions are typically taught as a math-based field, where data and formulas tell us exactly what to do. But in the real world, people don't make financial decisions on a spreadsheet. They make them at the dinner table or in a meeting room, where personal history, your own unique view of the world, ego, pride, marketing, and odd incentives are scrambled together. Housel provides examples that explore the strange ways people think about money and teach you how to better understand one of life's most important topics. The celebrated author starts by discussing the concept of retirement. Social Security began in the 1930s, and it wasn't until the 1960s that the idea of retiring at age 65 became a reality for people. By 1960, 40% of the population continued working past the age of 65. Today, around 20% of people work past the age of 65. With the advent of 401ks in the late 70s and the Roth IRA in 1998, these funds help supplement pensions and Social Security, making retirement a reality for more people. So much that today there is approximately $36 trillion in retirement assets waiting to be spent down. Housel devotes a chapter to the power of time and compounding. Take Warren Buffett as an example. Buffett's net worth is $116 billion. The interesting thing to note is that he accumulated $84.2 billion of that after the age of 50. And $81.5 billion came after the age of 60. Buffett started working early, saved early, and invested a large portion of his earnings, allowing it to compound. By his 30s, he had over $1 million in savings. By investing early and staying investing, he accumulated large amounts of wealth. The lesson here is that if someone starts saving between the ages of 25 and 35 and stops, they'll have more money than someone who started saving in their 30s and continued until retirement. Saving more early has major implications due to the power of compounding. It's not just about compounding, but also about how you invest. Using index funds is preferred to picking individual stocks. Technology stocks were virtually non-existent 50 years ago. Today, they're more than a fifth of the S&P 500 index, and the share of technology stocks is bringing up the average versus the decline of oil and gas. Housel also provides his perspective on recessions by providing 3 different scenarios of investor behavior. These scenarios describe how staying the course and not withdrawing or changing your investment behavior when the market drops are critical to long-term success. The author discusses the power of fear on investor psychology and how the media uses fear to scare investors into making irrational decisions about their investments. Keeping your cool during uncertain times is vital. Housel also says someone can be rich, live lavishly, and still not be wealthy. The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas J. Stanley is another excellent book that describes those that live less lavishly and are rich because they live within their means, save, and thus achieve wealth. When we have wealth, we can control our time, and time becomes the currency. It provides you with an opportunity to use your money in the way it benefits you. The cost of investing for the long term is that you may experience some volatility. Building investment portfolios with a long-term approach is critical for success. In the book, Morgan Housel shares 19 stories exploring the strange ways people think about money. It covers observations on our relationship with money and tells us how our thinking towards finances drives the critical decisions of our life. The premise of the book is that doing well with money has little to do with how smart you are, and a lot to do with how you behave. It inspires you to live a wealthy life by making smart decisions. In summary, the psychology of money is filled with interesting ideas and practical takeaways. Some of the takeaways include: both luck and risk are hard to measure. Social comparison is a problem. Comparison is the thief of all joy. Remember, there's always a bigger fish. Give yourself a chance to win and take advantage of long tails. Compounding only works if you give it the time to grow. Having the ability to do what you want, when you want, is the ultimate form of wealth. Don't be tempted by those who flaunt wealth. Someone can seem rich, but it's impossible to know at a glance. Reduce your ego. Wait for the best opportunities. These can only happen if you save. Be reasonable rather than rational. Reasonable is more realistic. Investing is not hard science. Every investment won't be a winner. Learn to plan accordingly. Deal with market volatility. Accept it and embrace it. Run your own race. Now let's look at some of the notable financial lessons from the book. Number 1. No one is lazy. Every decision people make with money is justified by taking the information they have at the moment and plugging it into their unique mental model of how the world works. People do some crazy things with money, but no one is crazy. Here's the thing. People from different generations, raised by different parents who earned different incomes and held different values in different parts of the world, born into different economies, experiencing different job markets with different incentives and different degrees of luck, learn very different lessons. In theory, people should make investment decisions based on their goals and the characteristics of the investment options available to them at the time. But that's not what people do. The Economist found that people's lifetime investment decisions are heavily anchored to the experiences those investors had in their own generation, especially experiences early in their adult life. Their view of money was formed in different worlds, and when that's the case, a view about money that one group of people thinks is outrageous can make perfect sense to another. Number 2. Take note of luck and risk. Luck and risk are both the reality that every outcome in life is guided by forces other than individual effort. They're so similar that you can't believe in one without equally respecting the other. They both happen because the world is too complex to allow 100% of your actions to dictate 100% of your outcomes. They're driven by the same thing. You are one person in a game with 7 billion other people and infinite moving parts. The accidental impact of actions outside of your control can be more consequential than those you consciously take. Housel also insinuates that the line between inspiringly bold and foolishly reckless can be a millimeter thick and only visible with hindsight. Risk and luck are doppelgangers. He says, be careful who you praise and admire. Be careful who you look down upon and wish to avoid becoming. Or, just be careful when assuming that 100% of your outcomes can be attributed to effort and decisions. Therefore, it would be best to focus less on specific individuals and case studies and more on broad patterns. Go out of your way to find humility when things are going right and forgiveness and compassion when they go wrong, because it's never as good or as bad as it looks. Also, you should like risks because it pays off over time, but you should be paranoid of ruinous risk because it prevents you from taking future risks that will pay off over time. Number 3. Enough is not too little. Life isn't any fun without a sense of enough. Happiness, as it's said, is just results minus expectations. According to Housel, enough is not too little. Enough is realizing that the opposite, an insatiable appetite for more, will push you to the point of regret. The most challenging financial skill is getting the goalpost to stop moving, but it's one of the most important. If expectations rise with results, there's no logic in striving for more because you'll feel the same after putting in the extra effort. It gets dangerous when the taste of having more money, more power, more prestige, increases ambition faster than satisfaction. Number 4. Getting wealthy versus staying wealthy. There are a million ways to get wealthy, but there's only one way to stay wealthy. Some combination of frugality and paranoia. Good investing is not necessarily about making good decisions. It's about consistently not screwing up. Housel says that getting money requires taking risks, being optimistic, and putting yourself out there. But keeping money requires the opposite of taking a risk. It requires humility and fear that what you've made can be taken away from you just as fast. It requires frugality and an acceptance that at least some of what you made is attributable to luck, so past successes can't be relied upon to repeat indefinitely. Additionally, he says that the ability to stick around for a long time without wiping out or being forced to give up is what makes the biggest difference. This should be the cornerstone of your strategy, whether in investing your career or a business you own. There are two reasons why a survival mentality is so crucial with money. One is obvious. Few gains are so great that they're worth wiping yourself out over. The other one is the counterintuitive math of compounding. Compounding only works if you can give assets years and years to grow. And finally, planning is important, but the most important part of every plan is to plan on the plan not going according to plan. Many bets fail not because they were wrong, but because they were mostly right in a situation that required things to be exactly right. Room for error, often called the margin of safety, is one of the most underappreciated forces in finance. It comes in many forms: a frugal budget, flexible thinking, and a loose timeline. Anything that lets you live happily with a range of outcomes. The Psychology of Money is an essential read for anyone interested in being better with money. Fast-paced and engaging, this book will help you refine your thoughts towards money. You can finish the book in a week, unlike other books that are too lengthy. And that marks the end of our video. Which of the financial bits of advice impressed you the most? Let us know in the comments below.